I feel like I should be celebrating this moment hearing my voice on the radio for the first time, but instead I'm passing the worst diarrhea of my life.
You had lost control.
Yeah, exactly. How ironic, right?
Hi guys, and welcome back to another episode of Life Uncut. I'm Brittany.
And I'm Keisha, and I'm very excited.
And today's guest is a man that is very special to me. He was at my relationship hard launch, he was at my engagement, and he was at my wedding first dance. He just doesn't know he was there. And that is because if you listened to the podcast last week, you'll know I spoke about all of these moments and that there was one particular artist that has featured the whole way through my relationship, and that is the man, the myth, the legend, Teddy Swims. So I am so excited to welcome Teddy here today.
Yeah, what an honor.
Oh, Teddy, welcome to the podcast.
Well, yeah, thanks for letting me be a part of your, love story.
Oh.
Yeah, appreciate that.
You're the core part of it. It's like,
That's
I don't want to
cool.
say you're what I think about when I'm with my husband. It's going a bit far.
I appreciate it. Speaking of Life Uncut, I think that my son would be a really good guest for your podcast because he's also going through Life Uncut.
Do you know the best comment we ever got on an Apple review was, I thought this was a podcast for uncircumcised men.
Yeah, that's what I thought too at first. I was like, okay, sick. Yeah, my son is great for this,
Well, now we know that you're circumcised.
Yeah, because unlike my mother, I didn't chop off the best bit of him. You know what I'm saying? Which I'm still a little butthurt about it.
No, we're absolutely not going to feature that. But 2 billion streams on Spotify, which is absolutely insane. You've just released a new songs with David Guetta and Tones and I. Tones and I is a friend of ours. She's been on the podcast before.
She's the best.
And she's also the first female to hit the billion club, which is pretty incredible.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, Dance Monkey.
I think it's currently at 3 billion Tones and I.
God.
Yeah.
She's unreal. Isn't
She's
she
so
just
cool,
likable?
man. She's the best, dude. I love her so much. The first time we met, I think a couple years ago when I came here, a dear friend of mine, Volley, was doing like background vocals for her, and we met. And
She told us about
yeah,
Molly.
yeah. Volley's the best guy
Yeah.
ever too. And then I just got so close with Tones, and and David and I wanted to work on something for so long. So when they sent me that record, I was like, yeah, no brainer, man. Tones, Guetta, like how could this not be good? Thank God it's good. Thank God it's a good song. Yeah,
It was foolproof.
It would be bad if it was bad,
Well, Teddy, you are such a special guest to be here, but all of our guests, we ask the exact same question too, and that is that we ask for your most embarrassing story. We call it an accidentally unfiltered.
Okay.
What's yours?
So there was a time, it's the first time I ever heard my voice on the radio, and this is how I think God has like a real sense of humor. We're on the bus traveling through America, and you can't do number 2 on the bus because it's just bad. So you have to pull over. Well, I had been on a bit of a bender, far for the course. You know what I mean? It comes with the territory, and I was getting ready to pass some bubbles, and I was really hurting. I mean, we got to pull over anywhere, like somewhere fast. It's getting bad, and so I'm running into the bathroom in this Love's truck stop. And as I'm sitting there passing this violent diarrhea, lo and behold, Lose Control comes over the radio. And I just start I'm just mortified, but I'm also laughing. I'm just like, God, what are you doing? Because at this time,
Divine intervention.
Yeah. At this time in my life, I feel like I should be celebrating this moment hearing my voice on the radio for the first time, but instead I'm passing the worst diarrhea of my life.
You had lost control.
Yeah, exactly. How ironic, right? And so I'm sitting in there listening to this and just like, man, if the guy behind the counter right now knew that the person that sings this song is literally passing severe diarrhea in the stall, the nastiest, dirtiest bathroom too, it's just like not my greatest moment, but also one of my greatest moments,
Anything that's like the universe being like, you're like, show me a sign. They're
Yeah.
like, I got you.
It's also, though, that would be something that I'm sure you would have dreamt of for so
and
long.
it'd be done that way, And I was like, are you even up there, dude? What are you doing?
Just keeping you humble.
Thanks, I guess.
You can't have it all. I got to keep you humble. I'm going to let you shit yourself for the first time.
That's one of the best accidentally unfiltered I've ever heard.
This is a choice that I have to share this. I know that you're not supposed to poo on a bus because I've done it before. I was on I was like 9.
God bless you.
I clogged the whole bus on a Kentucky tour when I was like 19. No one told me. They didn't have a sign. Anyway, that's enough about that.
I feel like it's an unwritten rule.
Is it? Like you just know?
It's a courtesy to the rest of the people on the bus.
Well, you've never had IBS, Keisha.
Yeah, there you go.
Teddy, you've said that Australia is your favourite country to visit.
It is.
Is this
I
fact?
love
Why
it
is
here.
that?
Yeah. Well, there's here in New Zealand, we're the first people that ever really gravitated on us and loved us. And you know, when we was first doing covers on YouTube, it was just, that was like, you know, they were, I guess I think when we were like supposed to be in bed and we were online trying to like comment and reach out to every person, I think you guys were just awake or something,
We're
you
in
know?
the
And so
future,
we were
yeah.
just like engaging with so many Australian folks and got so much love from here first. And so first time we came out here, I mean, the people are just so kind. And I think, I always will say, I think there's people that like in Australia that just believe in the inherent goodness of people. And in turn, I think everybody's just a little bit better, you know, and happier and nicer and not so like jaded by, I guess, like, you know, bad things, you know. It's at least to me, it seems like people are very kind and
Yeah.
and hospitable in so many ways here, and they're just good people.
It's a very different culture to America, for
Yeah.
sure. Do you find the celebrity culture here differently? Do you find that you're maybe, I don't want to say hassled, but people are a bit more respectful with when they approach you?
Oh, absolutely,
Yeah.
yeah. I find that also people are more so like kind of just say like, "Hi, I love you," and you know, can I have a picture? And I'm like, "I love you back." Versus, I think some people, especially men in America, I find they don't want to ever tell you that they like your stuff, but they want the picture too. Like,
Yeah.
there's one particular guy I still think about all the time that really bugged me. We were in an airport. I can't remember what city we're going to, but this guy comes up to me and he's like, "Hey man, dude, so my foreman at my work, she's like a 70-year-old lady, man. She loves your stuff, and like, no offense, like I don't really fuck with your stuff at all. Like I don't really fuck with you, but like I listen to like Chief Keef and like you know, like Kendrick Lamar and stuff. So I don't really fuck with your stuff at all. But like, can I take a picture with you for her?" And I was like,
No.
"Yeah, I guess," but you just like literally was like, "I don't fuck with you. You want to take a picture with me?" I was like, "Well, I don't fuck with you, man.
Yeah. I don't
I
wanna
don't
be
need to
with
be
you either.
like told that, you know." It's like, so sometimes I think people in America are just like too proud to be like, "I like you," you know. It's just weird to me because I'm like, well, you don't have to like
You're a good
come for
man.
me though. Yeah,
Yeah, good man for taking the photo, though.
yeah, of course.
You have to
but-
say less, you know? You can say
yeah,
less.
I'm like,
but-
of course, man. Well, send her my love, please.
Well, Teddy, you grew up in a pretty conservative Pentecostal
Yeah.
church environment. I also grew up in a
Nice.
Pentecostal church environment. And I'm curious about, like, what was that like for you? You know, what were the influences that your upbringing kind of had on you that have lasted the rest of your life?
You know, I'm very grateful for my grandfather was a pastor, and he was always very stern and by the thing, you know what I mean? Even to the point that he was like not willing to take like money from the church, like super like, I'm a carpenter, had a wood shop at his house, was building houses, you know, was just always like very, very stern, and there was no give or take with him. And I think there's so much like now, like I remember the first time I was playing piano at his house, I was like, play a piano, and he's like, "Man, son, I want you to come sing at the church one day, but you know, you got to make sure you're doing it right, man." He said, "All these people out here now break dancing and hip hopping and carrying on for the Lord," and I wanted to be like, "Pop, nobody's like broke dance since my mom's been a kid, but also if they want to break dance for the Lord, let them break dance for the Lord, man." You know what I
break
mean?
dancing at my youth
Yeah, but let him
every
break dance for the
Friday.
Lord, man. You know, but still, so he was just so by it. But one thing I will say, like so many of the principles that I learned of like how to love people and how to care about people, but also like if you believe in something, like believe in it in the way you believe in it, and like believe in it and not be moved at all. Like we wouldn't even be able to go to a restaurant if there was a bar in it, you know? And I think like I wouldn't say that that's like the correct way to be a Christian, or I wouldn't, you know, say anyways the correct way to be it, but I always respected the way that he was just so firm in his like what he felt and what he knew was right, and no matter what, nobody could shake that foundation. And so I think I got so much from, first off, the principles of loving people and caring and you know, but also the sternness of like, if I believe in something and I have my heart set to do something, then there's no talking me out of it. You know what I mean? If you can't shift anything that I have, you know, like I'm always, of course, open-minded, but there's like, as far as like what I believe I'm supposed to be doing on this planet, there's nobody who's going to talk me out of it. You
Like
know,
that conviction and integrity.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Conviction and integrity. I think I took a lot from that.
I
Yeah.
think something that stands out about you, to me, in your music, the interviews I've listened to, your socials, the way you come across, is that you seem like a very salt of the earth, very normal person. You don't feel like a lot of famers influenced you, and I think that that's a really cool place to be, because we see a lot of people go the other way. But I've heard you speak about it, and you just mentioned your grandfather. I've heard you speak about the fact that you had so many amazing male influences in your life.
Yeah.
Do you think that has played the part? Because most people would say they're this kind of a person because of the female influences, but I think it's really cool that you're like, no, actually, like my whole life was surrounded by amazing, emotionally in touch men.
Well, and those very same men are the men that worship women, like I do, I mean, it's like, I'm a firm believer that God is a woman, man, and I mean, my baby mama is a superhero, my mother is a superhero, so I had a very, very well brought up, by wonderful men like my father and my grandfather, but they also, worshipped women, and so do I. I think so. We know what the who's really in charge here. You know what I'm saying? Like we don't play no games about our ladies, man.
We know our place.
That's our social grab. That's it.
Yeah. If more men knew their place, then I think we'd be better off in society.
So when you were coming up into the music industry, initially you were playing football. You transitioned into kind of turning that into wanting to focus a lot more on music. How was that transition?
Well, my best pal Jesse, who still plays with me to this day, and my band plays guitar, and his dad was always like in bands and like playing guitar and singing and stuff like that, and his sister was in theater, so she kind of got us involved in it, and we were always jamming and trying to figure out. But once I fell in love with theater and like singing, it was a no-brainer because being 5'7", like football really wasn't gonna like take off for me on defensive tackle. Those guys are like 6'4" and
The animals.
300 something pounds. I'm like, I couldn't. I was never going anywhere with that. And I still remember when I told my mom, like, I'm not playing football anymore. I wanna pursue this, and I remember her crying because we'd been playing football since I was 6, and she's like pulled out all my trophies and all the little pictures and like all the little things she had made over the years, the jerseys, like, we're a football family, why would you do this to us, like sobbing. And I was like, Mom, please, like, just like, but she came to my first theater performance, and I think I had like all of 2 lines for the show called Damn Yankees. And as soon as I got done, her tune had changed, and she was like, "Never mind, baby, you're a star. This is where you belong." And I was like, "Oh, Mom, okay." So since then, we've been all music, all gas on that. And she's just like my biggest fan. Even when I was in metal band, she was coming to every show, just like, "I don't understand the music you're making, but you sound good, though, I guess."
That's something I do love about you, Teddy. I feel as though there's not a genre that you can't touch. You've done the metal, you've done like, now I guess, would you call it pop music now? Is that?
Yeah, I suppose so.
Yeah. I'm kind of like, what genre does it fit into? Did you ever feel as though you had to change the music that you were making in order to fit what you thought people wanted to hear?
No, I think because my biggest thing is I think pop music in itself is just meant to be popular music, and I think the most authentic thing you could do is the thing that's going to work. I think like intrinsically people like, when they hear a good song, they hear a good song, and that's all there is to it, And I think certain songs want to go certain ways, and I don't know, I just love this instrument so much that like I've been so influenced by so many people who use this instrument that I think it's always been a thing that if somebody knows how to do something with their voice that like I can't, I'm like, I gotta figure out that thing, it like in the right competitive sense drives me crazy where like I gotta figure out how to do that. I want to do that. I want to sound like that. I want to learn that technique. I want to be that, and I just love the thing. And I think there's so many ways to like portray an emotion, and certain emotions are just like better portrayed, I think, in certain avenues, There's sadness way better, and there's sex way better in certain genre, you know what I mean? There's like certain ways to like tell that story better in certain places, and sometimes writing about home only really fits right in like country music, like or like this or that, So I wanted to be able to authentically have the way to tell that story in whichever way it feels right. And if we are writing a song, I always hate when people get in the way of creativity, because that happened so much in my life, like when I was first starting, or maybe the label or maybe this writer person with me would say like, "Oh, this is too country, let's not do that," or "This is too rock and roll, let's not go there." But if it feels that way, just go all the way there, lean in,
But that's the hard thing, and I'm going to assume I've never been a global superstar, but when you're in the early days of success, you have to do as you're advised because you don't really have your platform yet. But when you get to a point where you're at the level that you're on, you can switch. You can be like, well, actually, I don't care what you think. I'm going to release this song because I want to. But I feel like in those early days for so many people.
Yeah, some days you gotta like at the early days I had to play the game. Yeah. There's some songs that over the years too that maybe like if I wanted to like, they would say like, well, let's do this song, and I might have to cut a song I don't like that somebody wrote, but then also in that same time I'd be like, well, if that's the case, I'm putting this song out too, and they're like, okay, that's cool, that's reasonable, and so sometimes you got to play that game, and you got to trust that your partner also like does want what's best for you and works. And so hopefully in that regard, like kids are signed to the right person that also believes in them instead of just like trying to mold them into something they're not. And I don't think my label or anybody was ever trying to mold me in anything I wasn't. I think they were trying to develop me, and we threw a bunch of stuff at the wall until something stuck.
Yeah.
And then now I think we like over that year, those years of us like developing and finding our groove and our partnership, you know, like I can say that my label has been so wonderful to me, and we've really made this happen, and it's great.
They are in the room with us now. Blink twice if you need help.
Yeah.
They have been wonderful. Okay.
Yeah, they're the best.
But we love you, Thomas. No, I think a lot of people might be confused to think that you, and I hate the term, but we're an overnight success. You launched onto the scene with Lose Control, and the whole world fell in love with you. But I think part of your story that's so incredible is the fact that you hustled for so long. You shook hands. You played the venues. Talk to us about that time of your life and I guess the lessons you've learned from that.
The beautiful thing is about, I would say even with the journey of Lose Control, is that there was not like just a TikTok moment that really happened that blew that song up. There was not like a trend going around that song that made that happen. I think it was truly us going to every city in the world, every place that would let us sing that song, whether it was on the side of the street, whether it was a karaoke bar.
Or a service station toilet.
Yeah, wherever it was, man. I wanted, like, no matter what, I mean, I wanted it to be to the point that, like, if your mom was in the kitchen cooking and singing that song, I was knocking on the door like, yo, can I sing that with you? You know, like we were just pushing that song and shaking every hand and meeting every person and loving on every person. And I feel like the old way of doing things still works, because when you go out and you like meet the person and love on the people, I think people are more inclined, and not the song, I mean, the song is great, but also they're more inclined to be like, that's my friend and I want my friend to win. And they, you know, and that goes a lot further than just like this thing that is a flash in the pan that's an amazing song that everybody can agree on, and then it plays for a while and it drops off. You know, when you're making the time and you're making the effort to love on someone and care about your music and be like, you know, you gotta push it, you gotta believe in it for everyone else to believe in it, and you gotta believe in people too for them to believe in you. And I think it's like, I think that journey of creating those relationships has been way more rewarding, and I mean, in my heart as well, but you know, as for the songs, you know, it's been way more rewarding because people care about the human you are, and then they hear the song for the human you are and those experiences versus just a great song.
Teddy, I've heard a lot of artists say that, you know, sometimes they write their best or most creative art from the places that are actually quite sad and kind of hard to be in. Do you feel like that, or do you feel as though, you know, you're able to write from, I guess, any stage of life that you're at? Yeah,
you know, I do feel that, and in my life, you know, prior to therapy.
So you have been to therapy, because the album's called I Tried Everything But Therapy.
But prior to, like, you know, a lot of self-love and healing journey, I feel like in my life I kind of put myself in harm's way a lot of time to just like, even if it like blew up in my face, there was like some fuel for the record, you know what I mean? Which is like kind of masochistic in a way, and not okay, you know? And now it's a lot easier to be in a happy place and know that I can access that pain and write from that place and feel it again, but like come out of it instead of living in that dark place all the time. You know, and I think that's the beauty of like, when I'm able to perform some of those songs, you know, there's like a 3-minute period where I can just dive right back into that heartbreak and fully feel it again, and then be done with a song, and on the other side of it say like, wow, it's good to be on the other side of that, and it's good to like acknowledge that part of me and be grateful for that part of me, and almost take that trauma and like take ownership of it and make it into a celebratory moment amongst a lot of other people who have also felt that kind of trauma, you know? And I think that's so, to answer the question, I think it's I'm learning as I go, like how it's easier to access that pain and that emotion and write from that place rather than try to always be in it, you know?
I remember when we started this podcast where one of us was married, not me, and one of us is single, going on all the horrific dates. And that's how it started. You know, this is 800 episodes ago and 6 years ago. And I remember feeling like every time I'd meet somebody that could be my partner, I wouldn't, like a relationship, I canned it because I was like, I need to keep dating the shit people so I have stories for the podcast. I was like,
what need the content?
I was like, I need the red flags whipping me in the face. I was like, what am I going to do if I'm happy? And I remember thinking the same thing.
Yeah, it's like, easy to fall into that too. And that's also just familiar too, you know? There's something so scary about things being good or also like a slow burn in love is also such a wonderful thing for it to be like, not like these high highs and these low lows. It's like that's not the thing. That's toxic. Like love can be like,
But you
you know.
haven't really been a slow burn lover, from what I hear, have you?
Yeah, I mean, I used to jump straight in. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? I definitely, but now I'm with Ray's, who I'm with now. We're like. We're an adult relationship, you know what I mean? Which is great. It's like it's not this like codependent thing that was like I've always thrown myself right into this thing, like this head first love bombing thing. We took time to be together, and I mean, of course, we had a baby, so we had to get to know each other pretty quickly, but and we still are, but almost a couple years, but like we're doing great, and he's great.
Can I ask you, and I might be projecting a little bit of myself into this, going from being the type of person who was just so intense in relationships and like almost monkey branching from one to the next,
Yeah,
and
totally.
having those high highs, and with it come the low lows. Did it take a little bit of you actually having to coach yourself into what a healthy relationship is going to feel like, and what it's meant to feel like?
I think to me, it wasn't coaching for relationship as much. It was like learning that I was running from certain things within myself, and like learning to like love myself genuinely, and like taking small efforts to like even look at myself in the eyes in the mirror and to say like I love you, like you're pretty, man. Stuff like that, like
You do
little
have pretty
small.
eyes.
Thank you.
All right. All right.
But was it like that, that kind of that validation, I guess? Like I know
Yeah.
that because I am someone who was like that, and I would really chase those high highs in a relationship. And I think that when I got into one that was actually healthy, I really had to soften the edges at times, because I was like, oh, I'm not feeling the things that I used to feel, and I can only imagine that
Yeah,
that would be
exactly, yeah.
exacerbated if you were an artist.
Yeah, well, yeah, and as someone who gets paid to be validated by other people, and like songs only work if people validate my pain or happiness or whatever have you that I'm writing. It's like, yeah, it definitely gets to a point where I felt like when I was first, like, I always told myself, like, these problems would go away if I was able to do music for a living, right? Like all these things, like, not just financial problems, but all these things, if I just felt like I was okay. And as soon as I got this feeling, like, that I got this ability to just perform music live with my best friends all the time, I was, like, in the lowest place I ever been, where I just felt like I was either lying to everyone or everyone was lying to me, and I just felt like I was like, I don't feel validated still. I feel like empty, and I was more nervous about doing anything. When I was so delusional before anybody cared, I was like, this is me. I'm going to be the biggest of all time. And now all of a sudden people started caring, and I was like, oh shit, I'm just terrified, So I think, I mean, again, it was, I'm grateful for that time during COVID, and like my second dad, DDP, for really like, helping me with that self-work, and like, learning to love myself and learning to take care of what I felt about myself, and because I hated me, I guess, and that was tough.
I heard you say that you have more anxiety and more insecurities now with all your success than before.
Yeah.
Have the insecurities changed? Why do you think that is? I think a lot of people from the outset might think, oh, you know what, you've got the fame now, the validation, the money. You think that it would dissipate, but yours is actually intensified.
That's what you would think. But I think there's just so much, especially with now having a kid, there's so much of like, I want to do the right thing and say the right thing. And I think sometimes there's a lot of overthinking that goes into it, when if I just followed my gut, like I think the overthinking just started getting into it. And if I always ask myself, like, if I could ever ask, my buddy Jamil asked me this one time, he's like, dude, if you can ever tell me one time that your gut told you something and you just like gave somebody the benefit of the doubt, or you just kept telling that no, and then by the end of it, it blew up in your face, was your gut right? Has your gut always been right? And I'm like, yeah, it always has. And he's like, so follow that and don't listen to like any of the other things that are. And I feel like I just sometimes get to that insecure or overthinking. Am I doing the right thing? Am I doing it? And that sometimes taking that long to make any decision is like a decision in itself. And then you've missed the window, and now you're just blown up and you're overthinking everything. And so I try my best now to just go for it.
Cut out the noise.
Yeah, just go for it. Say I'm just reassure myself that I have good intentions. I have a good heart. I'm a good person. You're not going to hurt anybody, man. Just you got this. People trust you. You got to trust yourself.
How did that level of, I guess, I think what you're referring to can be like kind of intrusive thoughts or like anxiety.
Yeah.
How did that change when you became a dad?
It was it's such a weird thing, because the first time I remember holding him, and by the way, Rachel like did this at our house, you know, like we bought this house in
Yeah.
Nashville and right in our bed, like a damn superhero, man. Like
As-
absolutely.
Accidentally, like
No,
you came
no,
early,
that was a
or-
plan.
I
you
saw a
know?
video
And
that she posted about
Wow.
like women
was
and birthing, and
beautiful.
it used to be like such an experience that we shared stories about. It was a really
yeah,
beautiful video,
it's
actually.
it was incredible. But I remember holding him for the first time and being like, you know, like I've always been his dad, you know, like
Aw.
nothing changed, like really, you know. It was just like I've always been this. I've always been his dad my whole life. Everything's led up to that, you know, and I think there's so much more, I guess, like surety of my steps, you know, clarity in my steps, the things I'm doing, because there's like nothing else can. Everything I do affects him and his life, and so now like so many people with their opinions and their ideas, I immediately like. No, I think I know what's best for my life through my son now. You know, I know what's best for my son, so don't tell me shit. I got this, you know. And I take a lot less I take a lot more risk and a lot less help, you know, which is like in the right way though. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? In the right
yeah.
way.
What's a big lesson that being a new dad has taught you?
Man, I think being more present, you know, I feel like and so much time in my life I spent just like on go and wanting to like I got to do this, I got to like I'm falling behind, I got to go and now there's like so many times when I'm with him that like I know even if I'm just sitting watching TV and he's on my lap, like that is the most productive thing I could be doing, you know, and that's like the most thing I can do is just give him like my presence and be there, and that is the most productive thing I could possibly do. And so now it's like again, like I made my steps a little bit more clear that like there's not this like feeling of like falling behind or I'm not doing enough or this like, you know, everybody can do what they're doing and I got like there's plenty of time, I guess now, you know, which is like there wasn't before. I felt like I was always running out of time, and now there's like downtime. Just feels like I need more of that, you know.
Yeah.
Like you're being more intentional with it.
Yeah.
How is it going having like is he about 3 months old now?
Yeah.
Yeah, a 3-month-old baby touring around.
Oh, it's cool, man. It's cool.
What a cool experience.
Yeah,
for a
he's
kid,
got
like-
he's got a little passport. It's so cute. He's just sleeping in his little
Well, I hope
passport.
you're not illegally
So
smuggling him
cute.
in all the country.
Yeah, it's so sweet though. I mean, I love it. He got his first stamp in Auckland and came here. So he's like, you know, traveling the world at 3 months. He's
Yeah.
so lucky. Nothing cool in my life happened until I was like 29. You
I was
know?
about to say, like, imagine
a little
telling
lucky.
younger Teddy, hey, in the future, you're going to be taking a 3-month-old
Yeah.
baby traveling the world.
He was like Gandhi in a past life or something.
You
You know what I
reckon?
mean? Yeah, he's got it fucking made, you know?
Hey, something I find really interesting. I am a huge universe manifestation kind of person. We have this debate on the podcast all the time because not everyone agrees with me and things like it's a bit woo woo. But I'm about it. I believe I've manifested so many things in life. I believe I manifested this chat with you. You know, when I
Hell
think,
yeah.
thank you, thank you, appreciation.
I'm like, I have to bow down. You are right, Britt.
How do you feel about it?
Yeah, I mean, you know, you claim what you want out of life, and I think everything, you know, there's just so many moments in my life that, like, when these things happen, that are like, I'm right, about time, you know, like, and versus like the nerves of anything, or I mean, everything. Like, I people always like, did you ever imagine your life? Like, yeah, fuck yeah, I did, man. This is all I ever saw for my life, you know, and everything is like so to detail, you know, like this is what's gonna happen. This is gonna be like, you know, like I like what we just played at the NRL. When we get back here, that place will be sold out with Teddy Swims. Like we were playing at the NRL and they were like, you gotta sign the board while you're here. And I said, I'm not gonna sign that board. I'm gonna wait till I sell this place out for Teddy Swims. That's when I'm gonna sign that board. And that's the next time I come back to Sydney.
Yeah.
And I guarantee you that stadium will be sold out when Teddy Swims comes back. That's the plan.
When would you say you made it, I guess? And because I know that it was a bit later in life for you. You hustled for a long time. And I guess off the back of that, was there ever a time in that period where you were hustling where you thought maybe it's not for me?
No, never. It's always for me. Every time it's always been for me. That's the only thing I ever had in my mind that I was so delusionally just like, I am going to be this. There's no other way. There's nothing else I could be doing. So, but I think my made it moment, I will always attribute to my dear friend, Megan Trainor and Daryl Sabar there. He had just turned 30 and it was right after I did the song with Megan, and we went to his birthday party, and he had like rented out the Soho House in LA in the theater. And I got to spend his 30th birthday with him and a bunch of their friends and watching Spy Kids 2 with him and, you know, Alexa Vega. And I was like, I remember calling my mom and being like, Mom, I'm watching Spy Kids with the Spy Kids right now, and this is the coolest moment of my life. Like, cause I made her take me to see all of them in theaters, you know. So like, now I'm like, I get to call that dude my brother. Like, that's one of my dear friends right there, and I get to sit next to him and watch Spy Kids on his 30th birthday with him. And I was like, this is the most amazing moment and he's like sitting there spitting all the words and still loves it, you know. And I'm like, dude, I want that so bad, you know, and I can't wait for. That's such a cool thing to be able to do, and that was my made it moment. I think for me is sitting with Daryl and like nerding out about Spy Kids, and he was on the screen as a little kid, you know. Like,
I bet no one thinks that would have been your made it moment. I
Well,
love
Yeah.
that.
I was thinking, like, it wasn't when you were in that toilet listening to yourself on the radio for the
yeah,
first
that
time.
was. I was just happy I made it to the toilet. You know what I'm saying?
Made it out.
That's very true. How was it performing at the NRL Grand
Oh,
Final?
it's so cool, man. It was very nerve wracking, and I think I had it all together until like TNT came on, and that's when I was like, all right, this is the part that you don't blow in front of
To
Sydney.
Australians,
Yeah,
yeah.
But it went well, and that was a big
That was
ask.
fantastic. You absolutely killed it. I'm a massive rugby league fan, and I think you are by far the best entertainment we've ever been able to
Heck yeah,
get to the
man.
game. I love having these amazing international acts, you know, and I'm all about, we spoke about it last week on the podcast, about getting people like you over just elevates, you know, the whole sporting culture of Australia. I was so excited. It actually got leaked on this podcast by two guys who were like in their 60s that you were going to be coming over and doing it. I
Cool.
don't know how they got the word, but it got out to the NRL community so quickly, and I was
Whoa.
very, very thrilled.
Oh, I mean, I only got sucked into it, and this is what I think happened with a lot of Aussies. I hate football, hate rugby. I'm happy to say it. Don't come for me, because you were playing, and I think there will be a lot of Australians that you were the draw card.
Well, man, it apparently was the biggest one yet. So, like,
Yeah.
well, hopefully,
Yeah, it
if
was
I
the
had
most
something to
streamed
do with
thing
that.
on
then
Australian
that-
TV.
It was such a cool environment to be in. I don't really quite know what's going on in rugby. I could kind of follow a little bit, but I mean, it's a huge time to be Brisbane right now, though. You know, they're like the men's and the women's, and they won the AFL. Like that
What a
town's
time.
probably still doing backflips over there. So I can't wait to get over there and wear my little Broncos hat. And,
Well,
you
you've
know,
got your
like,
Broncos
yeah,
hat on now.
I
number
know, I
one,
wanted to give
Brisbane.
you a jersey from where I'm from, but we got the wooden spoon this year. So I was like, you probably, look, maybe it's a green flag to still support a team when they're at the bottom.
It is.
That's who I am, and I think that's who you are.
I'm still a Falcons fan, you know. So,
This is
like,
where it comes from, like, love me at my worst. You know, you've got to be around at the bottom. But if anyone wants to go see Teddy, you're on your Australian tour right now. Please go and get amongst it. Gone, 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 the new single with David Guetta, Tones and I, absolutely brilliant. So make sure you go and listen to that. Teddy, I cannot thank you enough for coming in today.
Thank you
I
for
know
having
you're on a
me.
time crunch, but before you go, I have to ask you, what would you rate my wedding dance out of 10 to your song?
No, it's amazing. I saw it. Thomas showed me earlier too. I think it was amazing. I will say that I was expecting like pyro. You know,
That did come later.
At the very end.
Oh, it was pyro, really?
But they only let me play 90 seconds of your reels.
Was
of
it
your
really
songs.
pyro?
No, I did. We had, oh my God, we had fireworks
No
worthy
way.
of like,
Oh,
it was
shit.
in Bali, so like
yeah,
they
he
were
showed me
far
earlier.
too
I was like,
close.
because I was expecting to hear the kind of acoustic version of it, you know, but it was like the whole drop and everything. And I was like sick. I was expecting the like Dirty Dancing, like hold up, you know, the big thing.
you know, we learned,
it was sick. I was honored.
My husband lives in Italy. We learned that long distance. Is that more impressive? That's an 11, right? Out of 10?
Oh, absolutely.
Thanks,
That's
thank you,
huge.
yeah.
Yeah. I was very honored to be a part of that. I mean, that was really sick to watch on the way up here. I loved it.
Thank you so much,
Yes,
Teddy.
ma'am. Thank you.
We've loved having you.